All right, we're live. What's up, everyone? Eric here with Proactive Intuition. Got a super exciting guest for you. This is my friend and business partner, Feldon Richards. If you guys stay tuned to the end of this video, we actually have a really awesome announcement for you guys. But Feldon, thanks for hopping on the channel, man. Appreciate it.
Glad to be here, man.
Absolutely. So I wanted to have Feldon hop on here and just kind of answer some questions about his business and just kind of share his story about how he got to where he is now. If you guys don't know Feldon, he's done over $100,000 in a single month. Was that just last month that you did that?
Yeah, it was last month.
Nice. So, and how long have you been reselling for? Like, kind of give us the rundown of your story. How did you get started? And then what's some of like the obstacles and stuff you ran into, and how did you get to where you're at today?
Absolutely. So the way I got started is a little weird. So back in 2017, my son cracked his iPhone. And, I took it to a local repair shop. And when I brought the phone home, we found out that they botched the repair. So his home button wasn't working. He was a little stressed out about that. So I took it back and they're like, yeah, you got to pay us $50. We gave it back to you working. I'm like, are you serious? You got to be kidding me. So, that happened. So I went online and I signed up for a course with this company called iCracked so I could learn how to fix phones. And I did that for, I want to say probably like 5 or 6 months. They were sending me like on jobs after work every day. And I was making like 40, $50 a job. And I was doing like 2 or 3 jobs a day. And I'm like, oh, I'm able to be self-sufficient like this. It got to a point where I was doing so many jobs, even working on weekends, I started to replace the income at my full-time job. I was a banker for Citibank at the time. And so this is, at this point we're at like, I want to say mid 2018. And so by that point, I had recently upgraded my iPhone and I sold it. And it took me like 3 months to get that phone sold. But the day that I heard that cha-ching, it was actually on eBay. And I don't know, like I got kind of hooked. That was the first phone I ever sold on eBay. And I'm like, I sold my phone. I wonder if I could sell somebody else's phone. And I'm like, well, I already know how to fix phones. So I started looking on Facebook Marketplace and I'm messaging people and I see, I could buy the phone and fix it. So I started doing that. I'm buying people's phones and I'm fixing them. And then I'm like, man, there's got to be a better way. So I go on YouTube and I see this guy. His name's David. He has this course going on. So I signed up for his course. And he taught me he essentially taught me how to stop wasting time doing repairs and just sell all my phones on eBay, which I never really thought made sense, buying and selling stuff as is. But it actually saved me a ton of time versus the way I was doing it before. That's pretty much how I got started in the phone flipping. I got started doing repairs, and eventually I stopped doing repairs. I started buying and selling phones as is on eBay once I met David. And yeah, man, the rest is history. I worked with David for a couple months, and it was a great experience. Like I can't even put into words like the drastic change that I went through when I stopped doing repairs and just buying and selling things as is.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I didn't know you started out with repairs because that's when we met.
Yeah.
When you joined the course. I remember when you joined the course, you just hit it like full throttle. I was like, who is this guy joining? Like after like 2 or 3 months, you were doing more in sales than me. And I was in the course for like probably like 4 or 5 months when you joined. So I remember right when you joined because you were on every single group chat. You were asking crazy amounts of questions. Like you were hitting it hard. So you started out with repairs and then you kind of transitioned into kind of doing what most people probably watching this video do, buying and reselling on places like eBay, Swappa, stuff like that.
Yep.
How long did you do the local game before? Because now you're doing like big wholesale type orders now.
Yeah.
How long did you do like the wholesale game before? And what made you do the transition to going more towards like the business to business kind of transactions?
So when I first started, like you said, I was heavily local. I was initially buying and selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Then I transitioned to only selling on eBay. And then I want to say in like January of 2019, I went full scale online where I was just selling stuff online. I was buying and selling as is. I stopped doing Facebook Marketplace. And then around, I want to say around October of last year, I started to make the transition where I was buying less locally and I was sourcing products from companies. So it was like kind of half and half, kind of like the way that I stopped doing repairs and going into selling on eBay. I took the same route when I wanted to transition into the wholesale industry. I did around half of the month I was buying local, and then half of the month I was buying stuff online. And then by the time I want to say December hit, last month was my first full month where I didn't leave the house at all to buy stuff. I purchased all my stock online from businesses, pawn shops, cell phone stores, repair shops, and of course other resellers as well.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, if you guys don't know, watching this video, me and Feldon are on a call like every week, and I remember just seeing like the transition. Like once you because you quit your job, was it in October of 2019?
It was May. I took my paternity leave, and then I want to say probably around May, June, July is when I put in my notice, and I
Nice.
didn't go back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's probably the thing I like the most about you is like you're always go, go, go. Like you're always taking action. You hit everything like super hard. And that's why like we connect so much, because you're always going after like the next thing in your business. You're always trying to figure out how to scale. You're always trying to figure out what's the best process to do stuff. And you do a lot of like trial and error. Like you'll try something. If it doesn't work, then you just adapt and you just keep pushing at it. So like that's what I see you do the most. So I'm just like, man, I got to like get on Feldon's level. So that's when Feldon and I started talking, and we wanted to be able to offer some type of like really cheap, affordable coaching for people who are starting to get their feet wet. You know, Feldon's business model is more so doing like the big business to business transaction, doing more of like the wholesale transactions. And my business model is more of working as minimal hours as you can, buying and reselling local, but getting the most dollar for your hour. So we kind of have like a good combination of skill sets that we can bring to the table. So we want to do something like my biggest goal this year, and I was talking to Feldon about it, is I want to be able to help 10 people, at least 10 people. Hopefully we crush this goal, but at least help 10 people make as much as they do at their full-time job, part-time reselling phones and electronics. That's my number one goal this year. So in order for me to hit that, that's why I partnered up with Feldon, because he's got to help me reach this goal. But we wanted to partner up and do really cheap, affordable coaching. And when I say cheap, literally you can get access to us for an entire month for $1. So if that's not cheap enough, then this coaching is probably not for you. But if you guys are interested in that, I'll have a link below. We do have some qualifications and stuff for who we will coach. There's certain types of people that we want to coach and mentor, and there's certain qualifications you need to have. You have to be already flipping phones at least a little bit in order to apply for this. But if you want to check it out, we'll have the link below. But Feldon, is there anything else, like what would you say to someone, like if we could give them some good value and some good tips of someone who's doing like a couple $1,000s a month in sales, and they want to make that transition to get to say 10,000 on a local level, and then eventually do something maybe like what you're doing, where you're actually turning it into a real business where you're getting orders from multiple different companies and buyers?
Absolutely. So the best way to make the transition and scale up from where you are now to where you want to be is definitely to value your time more. One of the biggest things for me when I started to transition into the wholesale industry is I valued my time a lot. So instead of working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. or midnight, like some of the guys that I know, I had set hours. That was really critical for me. So there would be business that I actually turned away, not because I didn't want to make money, but because I valued my time. And like Eric said, I do trial and error with everything. So I tested it out at first, and I recommend you do this as well in your area. You know, I tried to see for a month, am I losing any money by working 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day versus spending 8 hours a day? And, you know, surprisingly enough, I made the same amount of money regardless. So I would recommend that instead of meeting customers all day throughout the day, have set hours that you meet and have specific locations in cities that you frequent so that whenever you go there, you can meet multiple people at one time. This is how you scale up and you start running a real business. Instead of chasing 10 different people around in 10 different locations, meet them all in one spot. And once you get that down pat, that's when you can start approaching businesses, because you already have the right behaviors and the right attitude. And the businesses are going to be your best customers. Why? Because everybody knows where that business is and they go to that location every day, and that business has to stay open. They're always going to be buying and reselling electronics. And if you can put yourself in a position where you're able to purchase the merchandise directly from them, you'll be able to get large quantities and they'll always come to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest adjustments I made in my business was meeting people. Like now I meet people at 12 o'clock and I meet them at 5 o'clock. You have to meet at the McDonald's up the street from my house or we don't do the deal. Like, and it sounds, harsh, but it's like you have to have set standards in your business that you go by if you really want to value your time. So once I started doing that, like, I average $50 to $100 an hour that I put into the business now. Now I don't work it full time anymore, but if I can make $50 an hour working, 4 hours a day or 2 hours a day, then that's pretty good for very minimal time, and I can spend the rest of my time doing other things, making other sources of income and stuff like that. So definitely the meetings is like really one of the biggest things to keep you structured in your business, and just have appointment times and meet at a place that you choose at set standard times. So I think that's it, man. I really appreciate you hopping on here. What's kind of like your big goals this year? Let's give some people some motivation on what they can get to. What's the big goal this year? What do you plan to do this year with Fun
So
Flipping?
the goal this year is to do over $1 million in sales, while we do anywhere from 15 to 20% in profit overall. That's after all our expenses and fees for the business. We wanna do well, I should say 10 to 20% in profit. I'm thinking we're going to be closer to the 15% by the end of the year. So that, if my math is right, that's like 150 grand
Yeah,
for the pocket. So that's the goal. That's
that's pretty
definitely the
solid,
goal.
man. First year doing wholesale, doing 150K profit. That'd be
Yeah.
solid. All right, guys. Well, hey, if you guys are interested in checking out the coaching, like I said, it's only $1 for the first month. We're doing this coaching on a platform called Trade in Tech. So if anyone's watching this is already on Trade in Tech, you'll get access to this for free. But click on the link below. It's going to have more details with all the information. Please watch that video that we have in the link below in its entirety, because it's very important that you make sure that you qualify to get this coaching, because we can't take on everyone. You do have to be at a certain level in order to be on the Trade in Tech platform. So if you want to check that out, click on the link below. Also check out Feldon's YouTube channel too as well. Feldon, what's the name of your YouTube channel?
I believe it's the same as my company, NYC Phone Buyer.
NYC Phone Buyer. And then Feldon also has a really good Facebook group as well. I'll have that linked below if you want to get in contact with him. But other than that, Feldon, man, I really appreciate you hopping on, taking the time, and I'll catch everyone later.
Thanks for having me, Eric.